Welcome back, guys and girls, Halo fans around the world. This is the HCS ANZ Australia and New Zealand, by the way, Open number 2. I'm your host, Maniac, and now joined on the broadcast by Hoots and SSJ4. Gentlemen, we've had a fantastic start to the day. I hope you've caught some of the action because what a start it has been. We just saw Nutribullet up against Divine Mind, two of the strongest teams in the region. Hoots, did it go the way you thought? Because, you know, I really feel it could have gone either way, but Nutribullet showing once again why they're called the God Squad.
Yeah, that oddball game was really close in that first game of the series. I thought it might have gone the other way, but Nutribullet managed to just pull it out in the end. But look, I've just been enjoying watching this, watching the last couple of series we've had. I've just been hanging in the Twitch chat. The viewership looks great and everyone's really loving it. So it's just been a blast to watch as a viewer, but I'm happy to be here with you now. Josh, on the desk.
Always great to be with you as well, Hoots. And yes, there is some good vibes in the Twitch chat and as well as the YouTube chat. Shout out to all of you guys supporting the broadcast. I know we have a whole ton of North American and global viewers joining us for the ANZ region, so thank you all for joining. We appreciate the support. And look, we're all trying to put on a good show, and I'm sure to help us put on a good show is Justin as well. Justin, what about you? What did you see from those few matches, and was there any highlights from your perspective?
Well, Josh, the competition has been tougher than a $3 steak today, and I've been absolutely loving it. Been vibing with the Twitch chat, seeing who's been naughty and nice, and I couldn't be any more excited to get behind the mic today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, Justin. Now, obviously, you're looking very good. I saw the touch-ups on Twitter there, mate, so it's really coming through. Great stuff. Look, let's just...
You don't just wake up like this, Josh. A lot of work goes into it.
Yeah, no work here, as you can see. So let's have a look at the bracket, Jensen, for everyone playing at home and see where we're up to in the broadcast, obviously, for the tournament as well. I mean, let's just take it from the top. Yeah, Nutribullet, clean sweep the entire way. Not a single map dropped until we've got to the grand finals. We'll see if that's going to change. I think a couple of ones here to highlight is BBR taking down Direwolves where they got to the elimination bracket, and Divine Mind with their run up until they got to Nutribullet. No real surprises here, I'd say, Hoots.
No, not really. It has all gone to plan, although as we just discussed before, that last series was a lot closer than we thought it would be, and if that is the grand final rematch we do end up getting, then this is by no means over, and I think we can expect a really exciting series. But obviously, we need to go through a few more matches to get to that point.
And after being top 8 last week, not getting to the broadcast, Justin, we see a great run from Direwolves here in the elimination bracket.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to. Direwolves, I mean, kind of underwhelming performance last week, and they're just such star players with so much experience on there, and then you have the young gun BAMs, and it's really nice to see that some of that rust is getting busted off and they're performing well, and, top 8 to top 3, not a bad effort.
Yeah, I think the boys at Direwolves, they got the WD-40 on the hinges and they're able to keep playing, and we will be seeing them up next. Direwolves versus Divine Mind. I think this is going to be a great one, as I believe all of our matches have been today. Even the blowout was fascinating to watch. Direwolves, of course, the squad, Bald, Dino, Zirkle, and Vamp. We highlighted Bald before. We had a chat to him. I think he's incredibly humble. This entire Direwolves squad, though, watch out for them because they are hungry. It wouldn't surprise me if we may even see an upset. Maybe I'm probably being a little bit overzealous and being a bit generous, but regardless, I'm really keen to see what Direwolves can do. And Hoots, of course, on this Direwolves squad, you've got the addition of Vamps, which I think adds a whole lot of spice from what was previously the old X5 squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw the control that team had in the really close Slayer on Streets from a few series ago. Down 45-40, so time running out, and just that ability to reposition and level themselves out. When we spoke to Bald, he mentioned that they just really reset, slowed it down, and were able to come out and pretty much roll a 10-kill run and get the win. So that level-headedness that this team's got now is something that we can really expect to see coming out in this series, and just to be able to turn around and have that mental toughness is something that a lot of teams just simply don't have.
Yeah, and that really is what separates a lot of these better teams from the rest. And I totally agree with you, Hoots. That kind of mindset is really important. And Direwolves are going to need as much composure as they can muster. They've had an incredible elimination bracket run so far, but they are up against Divine Mind, who we just saw have a really good fight up against Nutribullet, Pip, Rated Berserk, and Junior. Justin, this team have been performing really well, and unfortunately they did lose out in that winners bracket final, but up against Direwolves, I mean, arguably, would you say they're the favourite?
I would say yes, and I think over the next few months as we watch Halo Infinite kind of evolve and the meta shift and everyone has a chance to get some solid hours in scrims, we will see these two go back and forth. NutriBullet the clear favourite right now, but they're just got to get all the hinges oiled, as you say, and I think Divine Mind will be a real challenger.
And to really help Divine Mind, we've got Rated on the squad. You know, I think he's been a really standout player in the ANZ region, young Jacob. He's been around for a little while now. He's the super sub for the squad. He doesn't know yet. Well, we don't know if he's playing for the team at HCS Raleigh just yet. Obviously, there's some shakeups, and as we've kind of highlighted through an interview earlier with Bald, you know, there's not just the variables of these teams trying to shift schedules around to make sure they can make it. Obviously, the pandemic's still in effect. There are lockdowns in some areas of the world, and there are restrictions on people traveling. So just getting there is a huge task in itself. And by the way, I'll use that as a segue to really congratulate 343 Esports Engine and the rest of the team putting on that major in Raleigh, because that is a massive effort to put that on given where we are in the world. So no matter who's able to make it, that's going to be a fantastic event, and just to have a LAN of that scale this side of New Year is impressive, an impressive feat in itself. So shout out to all you guys. But look, Rated will do what he can to try and get the Divine Mind squad to represent at that event, and I can't wait to see it go down. Now, we talked about that major a little bit earlier. We've got the tournament this weekend, Hoots, but of course we've got those qualifiers next weekend as well. 51 teams we called out have signed up today, and I'm hoping many, many more for that qualifier next week as well.
Yeah, I tweeted last night, ANZ's the little region that could, really. You know, we have a small population, so we're always going to be up against it in terms of that. But the numbers of registrations we're getting through for teams is fantastic. And not just that, as I mentioned before, the viewers that we're getting watching as well. So I think you said at the start of the broadcast, Josh, when you look at from a percentage point of view of our population, the turnout and support is just phenomenal.
Have we peaked yet, Justin, or are we going to see more?
Oh, nothing but up, baby. We're going to hit that trip dig, and we're going to get 100 teams.
100, that's a massive
100.
call, but
Easy.
I believe in the infinite stonks, boys. I'm sure it's going to go nowhere but up. It is going to be really interesting to see how it goes. Again, I think people forget that this was a surprise drop for the multiplayer. You know, it's still, I think they say that it's officially still in beta. It's not the full release yet. And yet we have this amazing roadmap. We've got this tournament. I think there's going to be a lot of players jumping over. And I can only speak for the ANZ region. I think when more is known about other esports activities within the region moving into 2022, I have a strong feeling that we're going to be seeing more organizations, more teams, and more players jumping the fence, coming back to Halo, and where it all started for some of us, myself included, and really bolster those numbers. I think it's going to be something very, very special. And Hoots, speaking of special, you know, special place in my heart with some memories with you, good sir, as we were kicking off ACL back in the day. For those of you playing at home, a little piece of trivia, it was Hoots and I who were casting Halo Reach, Halo 3 prior to that.
Yeah.
Halo 3 is where we started with the old HDMI, the physical switcher, that black screen for 2 seconds between the POVs. We've come a long way to where we are now.
John, I mean, I'm looking around me here. I've got spotlights, I've got everything, and it's compared to what we were doing back then. Bare bones.
They didn't even have spotlights.
Nah, we had nothing. Bare bones was probably, I think we had handheld microphones and everything. Bare bones was probably the best way to describe the setup there.
A SingStar mic. A SingStar mic was our first mic for commentary
shared between the two
region.
of us.
Shared between the two of us. It was
That's
fantastic.
a song, isn't it?
I think so. I think we could probably make a song with the history of that. But guys, alas, we're ready to rock and roll. Let's have a look at the maps and see what these teams are going to be playing on as we get into it. Oddball on Livefire up next. Slayer Aquarius and Stronghold on Streets if we get to it. That Oddball Livefire, I think we've seen a couple of good Oddball matches so far today already, Justin. I think this one's going to be a great one as well.
Yeah, Oddball's really evolving into such a great game type in Halo Infinite. I'm glad that it's back, and you know, I'm having a lot of fun with it in matchmaking as well, and it's really fun to watch that dynamic, and the multi-round system has really revived it, I think, Josh.
I think so as well. I'm a big fan of Oddball. Love the game type. It plays really, really well in Infinite. Slayer, I think it's great. I really find that Slayer has its place in competitive, and that's actually a great point of, I guess, conjecture amongst the competitive Halo community. I'd be keen to know what you guys think in chat about Slayer's place in the competitive rule set. Nonetheless, it's going to be our second map and game type of the day, and then if we get to Strongholds at Streets at the end, Game 3, that's going to be great great to see. Are we going to get that far, Hoots? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a strong chance, and these 3 game types I think are going to be a perfect way to showcase what these teams have. Going back to that oddball we spoke before, I think 3-4-3 have absolutely nailed the oddball formula this time around with Infinite. It's not just the round base, but even now moving to a position where when holding the ball, the timer stops. And we saw, if anyone was watching the NA tournament Monday, our time at least, last week, some of the games we had in particular, I think in the final series with Optic and Pistola, doing that incredible play of clutching the ball and just holding on for dear life for those final 20 seconds, getting the time with only 2 seconds left on the clock, and then playing the ball, and you get a result. And I'd just love to see something like that here.
Yeah, they're the kind of clutch players you can hope to look out for. And I think now that we're at the really pointy end of the bracket, we may just see that. But Justin, what about you? Do we think that we're going to be seeing an upset here potentially? You already said in the preview that we're expecting Divine Mind to come through. Direwolves, do they have what it takes, or is this just a wash already?
I think Direwolves do have what it takes, and it's just a matter of whether or not they're warmed up enough, their communication's good, and their teamwork is good. I would probably still favour Divine Minds, but the thing is that it's all about who's playing better on the day and who's making good use of the opportunities that fall at their feet. So they can do it, but I would still say Divine Mind's the favourite in this one.
I'm probably leaning the same way as well, Justin, but Hoots, Direwolves are 3 or 4 series in a row in the elimination bracket, all 2-0s. Momentum, we talk about it so much, but if you've ever been a competitor, or in my instance where it's, in the Stone Age when I was a competitor, I've seen a lot of competitive gameplay. I've seen Momentum be a real key player in whether teams can take a win or not in a really important grand final such as this.
I mean, when you were competing as a competitor, Josh, I don't even think the internet was around then, and so it's pretty incredible now that we can hold these tournaments completely online. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And they're seasoned players on this Direwolves squad, so they've been here before. They're getting the hang of the game now, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how they go with that. But look, I think, Josh, we're getting ready to start this game now. Obviously, live fire, oddball, getting the teams loaded in, and Justin, we're going to have to look here for some real control of not only the power-ups but the snipe as well, as teams look to hold position down on this map to lock in time on this for this oddball game.
Yeah, I haven't had much of a chance to cast some pretty hype sniper play. I was a little bit jealous of Bluey and Hoggy before, so hopefully we get a chance to wet our whistles on that one too. And we are launching it off, and I believe we're on board with Pips, Hoots.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the sniper pops at the very start here, but the power-up is on a bit of a 30-second delay. So this mad rush for the sniper at the very start, Pip's pushing in hard, and by default typically opts to go for that drop once picking up the snipe. He's taken down, unfortunately. We're jumping on board with Berserk, and then we'll see a bit of a mad scramble for this oddball now down in bottom mid as teams start to feel each other out, and we're always a bit tentative to make a play going for that oddball. Unfortunately, manages to find Vamp pretty unawares there, misses the back smack, but follows up with the BR, picks up the snipe, looking up to sandbags now and just trying to get inside this garage with this snipe so he can hold a bit of cover. But it looks like the power-up may actually have been dropped by Junior, I think, who managed to pick it up and was taken down. So we're going to see Berserk here just play a bit of protection here on this power-up and managing somehow to stay alive with his shields dropped, quite unaware. So the Direwolves communication not looking too good at this early stage, Justin.
No, it seems everyone's very placid, really taking their time. Like, no one's grabbed that ball just yet. Everyone's a little bit shy, I think, and a lot of patience for the players, or a little bit of late tournament nerves. I'm not sure, but now we're on board with Junior. I'm glad Junior's back on Divine Mind. Pretty much bringing them up to full strength here. He does go down there now on board with Vamp, switching over to Dino, rocking that Croc gang emblem top left of your screen there. He's just hunting down bottom mid here, grabs that heat wave. Beautiful shot there on Rated. Rated trying to scrap some time here. Hoots really trying to stay alive. Look at that jump between the pillars. Ali comes in for the backup. Look at that. Fantastic stuff. Rated managing to stay alive there, Hoots.
Yeah, just perfect communication then of coordinating of, all right, cover for me now. I'm going to throw this ball out, run out from the pillars while you put shots in. It was just timed to perfection. You can see the comms on this Divine Mind squad is really working strongly. For an oddball game, we might want to remind these guys that there is an oddball on the map. Only 6 seconds of time for Divine Mind, so that they certainly are taking their time in starting to rack this up. But I think what we are seeing is just they are trying to feel each other out. As I said before, we're on board with Junior. He's got the camo, just hanging down here around the brute field. And again, we're just finding that players running straight past. Obviously, he is camoed, but we have found, and we saw this in the North American comp last week, that these pro players, they can spot out the camo a fair bit easier in Infinite, it seems, than in other versions of Halo. So if you've got those keen eyes, you really can spot one of these camo players out. But Junior just hanging out. He's going to keep a guard on the sniper, which is up in 30 seconds, hanging in this tower while his team's racking up time. And we can see here the Direwolf squad pretty much completely locked in this garage, and Divine Mind's just racking up time on that B silo.
Yeah, rated, ball in hand, you know, doing his best Hamlet impression. Sniper rifle about to pop. Great shots from Junior, putting in plenty of damage there. Waiting for his shields, but yeah, Raider's just chilling out here. He's got a bag of chips, he's got a drink, and he's just chilling, letting the rest of his boys keep the enemy at bay. He's not getting touched. He's standing still. This is unbelievable.
If we want to use another Shakespeare reference, oh, what a terrible night for a curse. It just seems that...
That's a deep cut there. I'm not sure that a lot of our young viewers are going to know that one. He does play the ball, though. I mean, he was probably sick of holding it, Hootsy. He was holding it for so long. But now on board with balls, he's got that sniper rifle, sends off a shot, doesn't manage to connect. Another player challenges him, doesn't get the body shot with the follow-up beatdown, unfortunately. And we've got about 40 points the difference right now. Pips, my boy, grabbing that Mangler, a weapon that I'm absolutely loving. Gets one shot in, easy beat down there, picks up the sniper rifle, throws in his back pocket. Second kill there, only gets the assist. Now he's going up Snipe Tower, trying to find some heads for himself. We'll have to see if he can match Barcode's performance from the previous series, Hoots.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see the ball still just in the hands of Divine Mind. And when we saw before where they were holding it on that B silo, they didn't even... There was pretty much no movement. They were just standing completely still. Normally, I think when most of us are playing on ball and we're holding the ball, we are trying to just keep moving a little bit, but they were just so sure in their setup, they could just stand completely still while the rest of their team was running around and putting in shots. We see almost a collateral snipe there coming through from Pips. He's just hanging in this tower, though, doing damage, and as you're dropping those shields, you know, you really are restricting the Direwolves players from actually being able to make a push. Again, no attention being paid to this snipe tower. You'd assume that Direwolves are aware someone is up there. It just seems like the communication isn't really working for them right now, and Divine Mind's just able to pretty much run around completely free with ball control, and as we're seeing now, 82-11 in this first round. No scopes being popped in by Pips as well.
Dirty.
So this is just a destruction in this opening round. This can't end sooner for Direwolves.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Direwolves, Hoots. Maybe they went to the vet and got muted, because it doesn't seem like they've got much going on for them here. I mean, the scoreline is just really bloated out, and hopefully they're just thinking about the next round, because they're not out just yet. So we'll have to see. Double kill from Dino, warming up just a little bit, but it's not going to be enough. Only 10 more points to score, a win in this round here for Divine Minds. Beautiful shots from Bald there, just trying to suppress those players so his teammates can rotate through, getting a little bit of ball time. I mean, we're going to see a massive comeback here, Hoots. Can they do it?
Well, I mean, just take a look at the scoreboard. We're going to need to see them start to slay a little bit more as well, right? I mean, we're on board with Pips. He's just putting in damage with that heatwave, using it to perfection, going for the vertical shot rather than the horizontal, so you can really focus that shot. And if you're accurate, you can do a lot of damage even from a distance. But look at the slays, as I said. Your Bald's only managed to rack up 2 kills, Vamped only 4. Zirkel's doing as much work as he can with 12 kills and 10 deaths, but it just seems across the board here they're being outslayed and out-objected. And as we've seen here, round 1 going to Divine Mind in a pretty big statement, Justin.
Yeah, easy wins in the chats for the Divine Mind boys, but we're not out just yet. Direwolves, they have it in them. They just need a smack it in their belly and get warmed up. We'll have to see if they bounce back in this one. Got a bit of a little spinny wheel there, launching in. Beautiful skins there on the new Halo designs. Jumping on board with Pips, who dropped 16 kills in the previous round, if my eyes didn't deceive me. He's got a lot of sightlines on that sniper rifle. Ball is still just chilling down bottom mid, so players opting to be a little bit more patient before jumping on it. Maybe get a couple of kills so they can rotate away from the ball rather than just copping a few grenades to the face, Hoots.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, some people who might not be super familiar with Halo would have seen just before with Pips going for that heat wave and not picking up the ball, and you'd say, you know, the aim of the game is to pick up time. Why aren't you picking up the ball? But sometimes going for the objective at the wrong time can be completely detrimental to your team. You want to make sure that you're set up ready to take that objective, because obviously once you pick up the ball, you're showing up on the map for everyone to see. So smart move by him not to pick it up, but we've jumped on board with Raided now. He's just hanging out in this snipe tower, doing a bit of damage, and you can see the team shot there just working really well for Divine Mind as they're holding this back area. again, we're seeing no one really going for the ball at the start, and I think what it just seems to be the plan for Divine Mind is to just let's outslay. I don't know, probably just trying to press some momentum and try and get the other team down a little bit, and then we can start to play the ball and really rack up while our Slayers go to work. And I think that's what we're starting to see here as we get this ball set up here. We've got Camo in the hands of Divine Mind as well, and ball up in the tower, so they're pretty set here, along with Snipe, to get a pretty good run of time.
Yeah, and I just noticed there, Junior, he's got the ball and he slapped that Mangler into his back pocket, and he can just quickly switch that one-shot beat down and really be able to hold down that tower all to himself. And they're really starting to rack up some points. Does opt to play the ball. Oh, and I say that, he does get the trade, unfortunately him. And, you know, it's been a pretty slow start this game, only 25 points the difference. But I think what you were talking about before, the composure from Divine Mind, they got one round in the bag, so that they can afford to play patiently and wait for the opportunities rather than scramble for the ball. Maybe kind of hoping the Direwolves get a little bit shaky and be able to capitalize on Direwolves' mistake suits.
Yeah, but we are seeing Direwolves are starting to pick up the slaying a little bit in this round. I think Bald's already had the same amount of kills this round as he did last round, with 3 or thereabouts. So Dino, you know, he's on 6, and the rest of the team getting a few kills and a couple assists as well. So they're at least matching them on the slaying now, and you know, they're keeping it respectable at least. They're down by about 15 seconds, so it's not a huge amount, it's not insurmountable. So maybe it was just taking them a bit of time to get their groove, but the key here is now to maintain this, keep the slays up, play objective when you can. But Divine Mind now looking like they're going for a setup in Garage, although on board with Junior, who we've actually seen Justin playing a fair bit of objectives. Does this surprise you? I mean, he's such a strong slayer, but does it surprise you to see him holding ball quite a bit? I mean, he's the second highest objective player on the team right now.
My personal opinion of Junior, people can correct me if they disagree, this is the internet, that Junior's just an all-round player that just kind of acclimatizes to the environment. You know, he doesn't need to make flashy plays. He can, and we've seen him do it even on LAN. But it's, you know, if he's got the ball, that's the opportunity. He has no problem doing that dirty work, and it's really translating to a lot of points on the board for Divine Mind too. On board with Pips with that sniper rifle. 7 bullets to play with, hits the body shot, easy clean up there. Good patience for him to line up the headshot. Oh, the dirty Noe to the other player there, racking up a double kill. Third player's there. He does try and poo out a grenade there, but doesn't get the connection. Who's now on board with Balds, who is playing a little bit better than he did previous round, trying to help his teammate there. A bit of a teammate in there, maybe. Ball's there, right for the picking. Berserk's cutting in, misses the no-scope for Balls. He's no Pips, tries to get a kill there, doesn't win the trade. Junior grabbing that sniper rifle. He's been playing objective. Now it's time for him to pull off some flashy play suits.
Yeah, let's see what he tries to do here. But that was just fantastic from Pips before, and even the angles he was taking, just holding, not dropping down completely to bottom mid, but just sitting in that little alcove, and he was lining it up. And I was waiting for a few of them, so it was great to see that fantastic no-scope before. But we've got Junior, he's moving in on the power up, which he's picked up, so he's going to have camo and snipe in his hand. Unfortunately, shot straight away, so that's a positive. That's good for Direwolves to shut down that camo straight away, because that's him with sniper, Junior with sniper and camo, it gives him the ability to just run absolutely rampant. And we're now starting to see Direwolves rack up a little bit of time here. You know, Divine Mind did managed to put quite a bit of a gap between them on the scoreboard. So now that they've got this ball in hand, they've just dropped it for a little bit now. We're actually seeing a Divine Mind push very hard here on Vamp, taken down. So that's a really solid push. You can see the ball's actually down, along with no representation from Direwolves up there, and Divine Mind just waltzes straight back in and takes control. Pips holding the ball now. He's done enough slaying. I think it's maybe time for him to do a bit of objective work.
Yeah, Divine Minds, Miley Cyrus coming in like a wrecking ball and just destroying that setup. 99 points. I mean, someone only just needs to get a little pinky toe on that ball as to say that stop. Dino comes in for the clutch play. Ball is played off the map. Oh, it'd be amazing to see a comeback from here, but, you know, only one more point to put this one in the bag, and it does look like Divine Mind able to get that 100-point scoreline, and it's a 2-0 in this first game in Oddball.
I think we might have just been delaying the inevitable there a bit, Justin. I think that was when you're at 99 seconds, it's pretty hard to fall off at that point. But yeah, look, that was a fantastic game, and we just saw the ability for Divine Mind to just completely control snipe power up across the board, and the communication as well. It just wasn't really flowing from Direwolves. You saw a lot of times players just should have been aware of of enemies nearby with communication from their teammates, but just not really happening, particularly at the start. I think they did manage to bring it back in a little bit more as the game went on, but at that start, a lot of damage was done there, particularly in that first round.
Yeah, and just having a look at some of these stat lines, Pips, holy moly, 28 kills from him. Looking at the accuracy, across the board, these guys are pros. They know what they're doing there. Damage dealt, 7,100 from Pips. No surprise when he's dropping 28 kills. So it's absolutely unbelievable. And Dino, pretty strong showing. Direwolves struggling a little bit, but it does look like Dino's doing his best to put shots down on the map.
I mean, 7,100 damage is just massive in a game that didn't really go for a huge amount of time. I mean, both of them were quite consistent wins that we weren't really scrapping for a huge amount of time at any point. So to put in that kind of damage in such a short amount of time means he was just constantly putting fire out on the map and laying waste to all his enemies. So that's a fantastic effort. That's something that's going to need to be remedied of how do we shut Pips down in further games. But if he can keep running rampant like that, then Direwolves are going to have a lot of issues going forward.
Yeah, I think you're right with the shutting down those star players. You got to kill that momentum. When you're one game down in the series already, you can't afford for the other team to just be so comfortable and just run away with it. They've got 2 thumbs on both NOS buttons destroying you. They've got to go in. They've got to shut down Pips. And Dino could be the person to do it. We saw he's performed very well for the Direwolf squad. And I keep saying it, I'm going to say it again, they've got it in them. They've just got to get the stars to align, get that communication flowing, and we could have a series on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Things can turn around really quickly, and we've spoken about before, the Direwolf squad, they've been around for a long time. There's some seasoned players. They're used to these things when your back's against the wall and turning things around. Ball, to be honest, probably had a series he'd rather forget, but we saw in only 2 series prior where he was really able to turn it on. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see them come out strong. Sometimes oddball just isn't your game. For some teams, they find that they're better at Slayers, or even certain objective types they're better at than others, and oddball just might not be one they're used to. We haven't really seen oddball and live fire pop up too much. It might be a series that they're not super comfortable with or familiar with. So there's plenty of time to turn that around. It's a best of 3. So let's just reset, put this one to the side, and come back again for the next one.
Couldn't agree more. Sometimes you just got to forget about it. Maybe have a bad game. I mean, Bald's struggling a little bit, but I mean, some kills is better than 0, unlike some of our competitors today. And they just got to lean back on those, those Halo fundamentals and the communication, rotating around the map correctly, getting their picks, staying alive, not being wasteful with their own lives. It's important to lean back on those things when you're down and out, because you put a faith in those Halo fundamentals. The opportunities are going to come. You get a couple of picks and it's, boys, let's go. Get the ball, rotate it through. And they've just got to get that going, and they've got it in them. I've seen them do it a million times in previous Halos, and they can do it in Infinite. It's a Halo game after all.
And now we move to Slayer Aquarius, and we're looking at a symmetrical map. So setups are a lot easier to hold, or I guess there's a lot more structure in a symmetrical map like Aquarius. So live fire, it's completely asymmetrical. So you're running around. There's power positions in the map, and if you don't hold that, then you're in trouble. But on a symmetrical map, every power position has a counter power position. So we'll see how that plays into the hands of this map. Slayer, again, we're getting rid of the focus on objective. So like I said before, if objective isn't your bag, then that's fine. You're just focusing purely on the kills. And if you are a team who are strong Slayers, then this can really work in your favor. I want to talk about Pips just for a second. That match then that he did, he was just running a clinic and wasn't being touched at all. And his control of the heat wave in particular is a gun that, I know from my experience, it isn't something I tend to gravitate to. I've tended to find it a little bit random, and also, as I said before, when you put it on that vertical aiming mode, the accuracy you require is just something that my thumbs can't really operate that well. But they were just using it as almost like a rocket launcher. It was one shot, drop the shields, follow up with the headshot, and it's done. And he was just laying waste to people, and that's something I don't think we have seen too much, is that heat wave being used so aggressively.
Yeah, I know when I pick up that heat wave, it shoots wet noodles. So I've definitely been cucked a few times with that. But I mean, I'm not Pips, I'm just, some trash Halo kid that decided to cast because he's not good enough to play. But it is interesting to see some of those new infinite weapons and, you know, be utilized a little bit more because they're brand new. You can see that the players, you know, they lean more on, hey, the BR, you know, the old trusty BR is the gun that you want to have to put on, you know, damage down the map. And you see players aren't really diverting to pick up those weapons. But Pips, he went, hey, you know, if you boys don't want the heat wave, I'm going to take it and I'm going to rack up 28 kills. And it does look like we are launching into this next game. And Hoots, you're talking about the fact that this is a symmetrical map, and I touched on the fact that Direwolves needs to lean on the fundamentals of Halo, and when you got a symmetrical map, you know how the spawn system works on a symmetrical map like this, and it's perfect for some old school Direwolves players to lean back on their experience and get things rolling and take a game from this monstrous Divine Mind squad. And we're jumping on board with Dino, Hoots. Take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Dino here moving top mid. He's going to look at try and lay down a bit of fire and move on this camo if he can. Unfortunately, a lot of fire going up there. This opening camo always is a very hot power up to pick up. And as we can see here, you know, in the game, it's still up there as players are trying to make a move and set up that they can down enough players and make a free run, because obviously when you're going for that camo, you are super exposed. So on the board here with Junior, just laying down a few grenades, he's taken down. So as we see, Direwolves a strong opening start here, and we spoke about Bald in those objectives games not picking up too many kills. He's the leading kill leader right now for this Direwolves team. So we take the objective distraction away, I guess if you could call it that, and he can just purely slay and focus on that. And it's starting off strong with Direwolves up to a 5-2 lead.
Yeah, and now we're looking at Zirkel's point of view here, putting in a lot of damage. Look at that, just racking up that damage stat. Goes down the challenge, Raider down there. He's one shot. Raider goes for the ballsy challenge, but he does go down. And one thing to note is that camo just got scooped up. It was, you know, sitting there. It was starting to get cold. But now it's in the hands of Dino, and he's got that heat wave. We were talking about it before. Won't shoot wet noodles for him. He's going to shoot out spicy ramen. He's trying to stay alive. Berserk there. Hasn't got eyes like a velociraptor, just couldn't see that guy, Hoots. Second player's there, little 360. He knows that he's on stream here, Hoots. Really performing so far, utilizing that camo to its fullest effect.
Yeah, and he can just run around here like a madman and not be seen for most of the time. And you saw he was just pretty much controlling top mid with that heat wave and using it up nice and close. So it's just one shot and then a melee, and you're dropping the other player. So this heat wave is really, I'm surprised that we're seeing it so much, to be honest. As I was saying before, I don't see it used too often when playing in the playlist, but Dino here using it perfectly, and we're seeing a really strong opening now from Direwolves, 17-8. So what a change in momentum. I expected it to maybe be a little bit closer than those objective games, but not like this. And we've got a camo popping up now, and it doesn't look like Direwolves are really in too much a position to get it. In fact, Divine Mind have 2 or 3 guys up top, and I think they've managed to lock this one down. So using this heat wave again, Dino, I think he's still got a fair bit of damage to be dealt with it, and he's finally taken down. But a great opening start from him across the board from Direwolves, really controlling that top area.
Yeah, Dino's so strong. And now Junior, he's like, hey, Dino, that camo heatwave combination seems pretty brutal. And he's already utilizing, he's flashing now. He's got to try and stay alive. Changes it to the vertical position there to really maximize the damage output. And the scoreline is starting to even up a little bit. But Direwolves, I'm not sure what they're doing for that extended break. Maybe getting some belly rubs and getting their mentality nice and straight. And we are going to see that player go down. Pips the monster slayer from the game before. He's only got 3 kills so far, but he has got 3 assists, which is top scoring for his team right now. So still putting plenty of damage down on the map, 15-21. So, you know, a bit of back and forth, and we probably won't see things heat up until later in the game, as always with Slayer. You know, Pips just poking out a couple of little cheeky shots and keep your head down, Balds, keep your head down, Junior. And there we go. Pips finding one. Zirkel, pretty ballsy challenge there, Hoots. Or almost gets the double on Balds as well. Trying to find Vamped and Dino. I love the way that he quickly changed targets there. He didn't get hungry for that other kill. He's like, no, I'm just going to put damage down on the map for my teammates, Hoots.
Yeah, interesting to see Divine Mind being completely fine with taking the heat out of the game. You know, stopping. We saw a fair bit of a standoff there. But we saw the way they were able to re-arrest some of the momentum in this was the camo from Junior, the camo and the heat wave, and so that alone brought them right back into this game, and we're pretty close now, 22-24. So this game is right back. The swing back from Divine Mind's been incredible, to be honest. We have another camo up again, and I don't believe it's actually been picked up yet, but this is where now, if you're Direwolves, you do start to panic a little bit. They picked up this camo, unfortunately wasn't able to put it in. Raider doing a great job of dropping then, and the camo is actually going to be down, I believe, close to bottom mid, so this is going to need to be picked up by, I think we're seeing a bit of a mad dash for this camo right now, actually. In fact, I say that now, and Junior actually putting it in for a second time. So Junior now 2 camos in a row. He had the heat wave before and was doing a lot of damage with the camo. He's only got his BR now, but it's going to be interesting to see. He's going to try and get behind this Direwolves team. And the heat wave actually is in his back pocket. Sorry, I missed that. So he's going to start to run around a little bit and cause a bit of a mischief with this heat wave and this camo combo.
Yeah, Junior, the slippery little otter, just slid in there and scooped up that camo and got away with it. And he's got that heat wave too. And scoreline is basically tied up. So we are looking at Junior here, who really needs to utilize this power up and power weapon to try and get a rotation going, get some picks. Oh, a lot of pressure there, and he's taken down. And Junior not able to do much with that camo, unfortunately. Look at the challenge from Pips there, just thrust-siding in like it's Halo 5. Full challenge, 29-29, completely tied up right now, Hoots, and 1 tick on the board in favor of Divine Mind. They can completely different team, Direwolves. They're really warmed up and here to play. They must know that their tournament lives are on the line. Dino going down, doesn't get the trade, unfortunately. Shots coming out of the BR for Zirkle. Haven't seen much from him. Trying to put some shots down on the Rated. Rated using his cover very well. And look at this, Zirkle just trying to get as many sight lines as possible. And getting his shields back here. Fresh mag into that butter rifle, rotating back into blue, sniffing out a player. Junior, he's got a lot of players coming after him. The Direwolves have got his scent and they're hunting him down, Hoots.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing a bit of a swing now, as well as Divine Mind starting to take a lead. 5 kills up now. Just running around quite a bit here. We've got Zirkle dropped, unfortunately stuck. But
that's unfortunate.
That's not what you want. That's not what you want at all. But Junior back up top mid now, and we're seeing a pretty even contribution by most of this Divine Mind squad to get this lead, and some really strong assists coming across the board. This is a map that really does favour team BRing. There are a lot of open sight lines, but as well as that, a lot of areas to hide away. So it's about putting shots into a player. Chances are that player's probably going to run away, but calling it out on your teammates and them being able to, at a different angle, to pick up that kill as well. We're seeing several members of Direwolves swarming on Junior here, but he's actually able to drop both of them, which is, that's a 2-for-1. You take that every day of the week, especially when you're in front and Direwolves are the ones who are chasing.
Yeah, I just want to circle back to Junior for a second there. His positioning, he's under pressure from 2 players and he responds to the call out across map to help his teammate out, gets the clean up on there, gets a second, and it takes 2 players to take Junior out. He was just such a turret then, Hoots, and it's amazing to see, but now on board with Pips. We've got to give him a little bit of love. Gets the wingman medal there, putting in heaps of damage for his team. Pips on 9 kills, 10 assists, the double digits, and just looking at the assist stat line right now, Direwolves, that seems to be the thing that's making them fall short right now. Only 2 more kills for Divine Mind to take this series, and it's all coming down to those team shots, boy. Oh, triple kill there. I'm going to pay it. It didn't come up in the stat screen, but I'm paying that.
I think it was there. You took the words right out of my mouth. That game, though, it was the assists the whole way through. I think it was about 15 team assists to 25 or 30. So, that is a massive difference maker on a map like that in particular. Look, Direwolves at the start, they looked like they were in it. They had a really strong lead, but Josh, it just didn't work out, and Divine Mind ended up steamrolling them by the end.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably the favourites with the bookies. Divine Mind did end up coming out with the W, but I think it was still a fantastic series nonetheless. Divine Mind will be strong looking forward, but I mean, Justin, walk us through some of these stats and if there are any particular highlights for you.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the slays, and it does look like Direwolves, they had it there, and I think it all comes down to those assists. They just weren't helping out their teammates in the same way the Divine Mind was. Like, I touched on it towards the end of the game. Junior using those long sight lines that Hoots was talking about, putting damage across map to help his teammate, who would have had no idea where those shots are coming from while he was fighting 2 players himself. That's the difference maker. They were very even till about that 30 kill mark, and I blinked and all of a sudden Divine Minds is like 10 kills up. It's just unbelievable. And are we surprised? Not really, but Direwolves, I was feeling it. They were doing so well, and they just fell short at the halfway point. Yeah, really sad to see.
It was a great series. There was even a 360 in there with the heat wave as well. But tell me, from your perspective, as you cast some of the action, what was it that set these two teams apart?
I think it was the camo control, particularly from Junior. He had back-to-back camos, and that really seemed to swing it. It was when they got Divine Mind had that first camo that they were able to get their hands on, and Junior with that and the heat wave, the combo of that, he just was able to take control and really start to swing momentum in favour of Divine Mind. And then he got it a second time, and it was much of the same script, really. So that inability of Direwolves to get their hands on that power up at two really crucial points, and I think we'll pay that triple, to be honest. But their inability to get that power up just really meant they couldn't arrest any momentum and start to set up and control the map, unfortunately.
Divine Mind seem to have had it from the oddball that we had back on Live Fire, and then of course the Slayer there on Aquarius, 50-37, walking away with it in the end after what was a relatively close start for both of the teams. So unfortunately we weren't able to see that game 3, and we will be saying goodbye to Direwolves. But as we called out earlier, Justin, after finishing top 8 last week, not even getting on the broadcast, this is still a very good performance from the guys, and they should be happy, I think, with where they've ended up.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, top 8 to top 3, it's a pretty good effort. So I don't think they're off to the pound just yet. You know, they're in a happy home right now, and I hope we see this lineup stick together, just get some scrims in, because, you know, the game hasn't been out all that long. You get a few weeks of scrims into them, and the dynamic and these brackets just play out completely differently. And some of those older guys like Bald and Zirkle and Dino, you know, they had a little bit of a hiatus towards the end of Halo 5, and I think that we'll see once those guys really start racking up the hours that they're going to surprise people, so the other teams better watch out.
Top 8, top 3, top 1 next week? Is that how that works, Hoots?
Oh, could be.
Yeah.
I set you up there.
Yeah,
Easy maths.
Come on.
Easy maths.
I'll try and spin a narrative for you if you want. You know, you can only improve. And look, what Justin said before, this is something, Josh, I remember you and I used to hammer on about even 10 years ago. And it's just, when you watch these teams play and you see them do quite well and perform and improve, the one thing you're thinking is, God, please just stick together. You know, because teams like to make quick moves and jump around, but it's always, from what we've always seen, it's the teams with continuity in their lists that always perform and outperform. And so, you know, look, they should be really happy with the way they've done. Top 8 to top 3 is fantastic. And yeah, who knows how we'll go next week.
You're too nice to me, Hoots. I was expecting you on crack. That is not how that works. But maybe we'll see them a little bit, you know, keep climbing the rankings, or maybe maintain the top 3 placing at least. And Justin, no more wet noodles, which I don't think we'll be seeing any more of for the rest of the tournament anyway. Or at least I'm not expecting them in the grand final.
Nah, not with NutriBullets coming up. Nothing but smooth smoothies all round, I'm predicting.
Oh, nice one. Look, I'm really excited to see where this tournament's going to be heading, where we're going to be finishing up in this grand final. But look, where we are right now, Direwolves being eliminated, I'm very happy and stoked for them that they're able to get this far. And like we had a chat with Bald earlier, I think that he's kind of happy just to get this far. And he didn't really want to say much about last week's performance, Hoots. I'm not too sure what happened there, but whatever they've done, they seem to have brought the secret sauce this week.
Yeah, it looks like it. You know, apart from a few little iffy performances at the start in that oddball game, I think they have really done super well. And we saw, spoken about before, sound like a broken record, but you know, the previous series when they were on broadcast, a really solid performance. So, you know, as they get more time with the game, and as Justin said before, they took a fair bit of time off between Halo 5 and this. So, as they're on the sticks more and putting in practice, and that starts to, just like riding a bike, you start to feel it again, then who knows what they could become.
And Justin, you know, you were actually at our last Halo LAN event, which was quite a little, well, feels like forever ago now, HCS Sydney 2018.
Feels like yesterday,
where
Josh.
we saw X-File 5 were there. Obviously, they did not have Vamped on the squad at the time. Now they do. Tell us, is there anything that you can kind of, you know, any insight you can share with us of the X5 that we saw at that LAN event versus this new squad that we've got now with the young blood of Vamp being added to the squad?
I'm glad you brought up Exile 5, because I think that's just a perfect example of where these guys can perform. They can perform at the top level, and I'm not just talking top 3, I'm talking about winning events. They've got it in them, and honestly, if they're placing top 3 and you can tell that they're a little bit disconnected, they're not getting those stars to align just yet, then watch out when they do. That's the difference. And you know, we're going on about Direwolves right now. And is Direwolves losing the game for themselves, or is Divine Mind just so dominant? That's kind of a question we need answered. And I think after a few more weeks of competition, we'll get our answer.
Well, let's get someone else's opinion who might be able to shed some light on the topic. From the Divine Mind squad, we do have Rated on the line. We've been talking a bit about Divine Mind and Direwolves and what it's like to go up against them, but now we hear from Rated himself. Well, first of all, congratulations on the win. You've made it through to the grand final. Congratulations.
Thanks, boys.
Tell us, first of all, how you're feeling. You went from the winners bracket now into the elimination final, but you've clinched your spot. How's the feeling in the team, Rated?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, I wasn't even supposed to be on this squad. A few unfortunate events happened, but yeah, I'm keen to play. Like, it's always been my dream. And I'm finally here, you know, so feeling good.
Rated, you started that second Slayer game quite behind. They got the jump on you pretty early. What were you able to do to re-arrest that momentum and bring you back in the game? From our point of view, it looked like Junior getting the camo in his hands twice in a row, but I'd be interested to hear from your point of view what you thought it was that managed to turn that game around for you.
Yeah, for sure. So we started off very scrappy. One thing we've been working on is teamwork, and coming into that game, we had a way we wanted to play it off the start. It just didn't work out, but just during the game, we just played off game sense and just our knowledge and individual skill. And, you know, our teamwork just shined there. Like, it's something we've really been working on. Yeah, we just brought it really well together and just outslayed them, so.
Yeah, I'm glad that you touched on working on your teamwork. And I would say you were a very underrated player during Halo 5 and, you know, maybe not finding the right team. And you're such a passionate bloke, and it's good to see that, you know, things are starting to line up for you. What's been your approach to practicing? You didn't have a lot of time to scrim and, you know, learn the maps. You know, what were you doing to get yourselves ready for these tournaments?
In all honesty, like, I've sort of been focusing on myself rather than the team itself. I mean, coming from Halo 5 into this, a bit of a change of game for me. I played Halo 3 back in the day. This is a little bit slower, but it's still very fast-paced. So, yeah, honestly, just been working on myself, trying to gel together with the boys. Like, me, Berserk, and Ali are really good mates sort of outside the game as well, which helped a lot. And yeah, pretty much it.
So Rated, as a final question, if you're not going to be on this squad permanently, can you give us a little bit of insight? What's the future for yourself competitively, and what are you going to be doing heading into you know, future tournaments and next year with Halo Infinite?
So, honestly, I wasn't going to play off the start competitively. I was just going to play the game, see how it felt, you know, work out whether I was actually good or not, and go from there. So I haven't really spoken to anybody else in the scene, like, really. I did speak to a few players before this happened with Divine Mind. Shout out to those guys too. Awesome job, you know, getting me on board and as a sub player. So yeah, really good opportunity for me, but I haven't really thought about the future. I'm just focusing on it now and doing well if we do go overseas. So yeah.
Well, game face is on. That's what we'd love to hear. So thanks for the chat, Rated. Really appreciate the insight, mate. Congratulations on that win, and hopefully we can see you bounce back against NutriBullet in the grand final. Good luck with it, mate.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Wonderful lad there, Rated. Fantastic to chat with him. And look, you know, the wonder sub, you know, even though he's not on the core roster, able to take it back to the grand final, run it back, and hopefully we'll be seeing a real series on our hand. We saw our North American friends; they were able to get the double best of 5 in their first weekend. Hoots, are we lining ourselves up for a second one, or do we think it's a foregone conclusion with NutriBullet?
No, man, I think that series, the earlier series, was a lot closer than. Well, I mean, we saw it was close, right? And there were only just small pivotal moments that swung the game in NutriBullet's favour. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion at all. And, you know, after watching the NA finals earlier this week, and they had a bracket reset. You know, I want a bracket reset. I think Justin and I have only casted straight 2-0 sweeps the whole last 2 days, last two shows we've done. So I actually really want to see a bracket reset. I'm sure everyone at home wants to see a bracket reset as well.
Well, we won't have to guess for very much longer. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting started up for this matchup very, very soon. It's not far away. This is the HCS ANZ Open number 2, where we had 51 teams duking it out. We're at the pointy end now. We're heading into the grand final shortly. We're going to be back right after this.